What was it like for you getting on stage for the first time?
And I remember when I was 6 years old, Shane, my first memory in first grade was my teacher telling me, "Shut up." And I was like, all nervous, walking back and forth, and my palms are sweaty and my stomach was churning. But I thought to myself again, what is the point of a speech? But I've interviewed over 2,000 people, whether
amazing.
Elon Musk or Buzz Aldrin or World T or Navy SEALs or CIA.
If you can't explain something simply, you don't know it well enough. And you have been able to put it in a way, take something very complicated and make it real simple. It shows you're an expert. All right, welcome to the Shane So podcast. Today on the show, we have Christopher Kai. He's a global speaker, author, and founder of the Matham Group. He's worked with Fortune 500 companies. He's spoken in over 100 cities. He's the master of using storytelling to grow businesses. Let's dive in. Welcome, Christopher Kai.
What's up, Shane? I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for thanks for being on here with us. Honestly, I appreciate you just spoke at the Pivot Summit. And you came really just last week, I think, is when we spoke. And you came.
I did. Yeah.
You did an amazing job.
I love the concept of pivot.
Yes.
Any time in business, if you're not thinking about pivoting, iterating, you're literally just going to fall apart and die.
100%.
Yeah.
So tell the audience a little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, I mean, I was born and raised in New York City. Didn't have a lot of money or connection or access. My mom was a school teacher. My dad worked for the city of New York. And I remember when I was 6 years old, Shane, my first memory in first grade was my teacher telling me, "Shut up."
Oh my God.
They didn't say that, but they implied that. But Christopher, stop talking. And how could it be that a kid that grew up in Queens, New York, didn't have money, access, connections, got punished for talking too much in class, got fired from my first full-time job for lack of motivation. Now I travel all around the world, and not 100 cities, it's literally 1,000 presentations globally. And now I help business owners, entrepreneurs understand how to frame their story, how to brand themselves, how to monetize, and really how to inspire the world.
Yeah, and honestly, that's something I'm getting into. So, well, I want to definitely ask you a ton of questions, and I'll get kind of a little bit of mentorship from you. So basically,
Free mentorship.
yes, that's what I love.
On
These
air.
things. Yeah. So I mean, I'm an introverted person, but I see the power of really putting yourself out there, meeting people, and then definitely speaking from stage.
Yeah.
What was it like for you getting on stage for the first time? When was that, and how was that like?
That's a great question. I was in high school. And I was so nervous because I was president of one of the student clubs in high school. And I literally was outside the classroom and I was like, all nervous, walking back and forth. And my palms are sweaty and my stomach was churning. But I thought to myself again, what is the point of a speech? Why are we here? What do we want to do in our life? And even as a high school student, I thought we have this responsibility. So whether you're introverted, extroverted, I'm actually introverted. People always find that very shocking. So I started off as an extrovert, but now I'm very, very, very introverted. But the point is, whoever's watching, whoever's listening, we'll have a message. And everything you see of me, whether it's the Gifters podcast, the GPS program, which is the Gifted Professional Program, Gifter X Talks, it's all about how your story, Shane, and everyone watching and listening is gift to the world, which is why I call all my clients and friends gifts. So if you think of that mentality where whatever you fear, but you push through that because you know your story is a gift, which it is. I've been blessed to get to know you over the last few weeks. Then you know that the fear just slowly goes away because you know the purpose is much larger than the fear.
Wow, I like the why and the purpose, and that helps you. Wow,
It's
that's
like
a
when
good
you
one.
look at Elon Musk. I've interviewed Elon Musk, and someone asked him, "Do you fear?" And he's like, "I actually feel fear quite intensely. But if you believe in a purpose greater than yourself, then you really will get past that because you know the outcome is much better than the fear." And we all have that, you know. Anyone that says they don't have fear, they're not being honest. Because we all have biology and we all have this thing called the amygdala, which is about the fight or flight, you know? So you might be an introvert, but you have a great purpose, which is why what you're doing with this conference and this podcast. I really admire you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, man, how was it interviewing Elon? Like, and how, like talking to, I guess if I had like a very like Elon Musk or like a president of somewhere or some king, I'd be nervous to talk to him. Like, how was it?
Like I said, but I've interviewed over 2,000 people, whether
amazing.
Elon Musk or Buzz Aldrin or World T or Navy SEALs or CIA. But again, when you get intentional with things you do, as long as you accept, like people always ask me, "Christopher, you give all these speeches, aren't you afraid?" I'm like, I get excited. But it's really a mindset. But with Elon, he was very interesting because I always do research before my events and interviews. And for him, the first question I asked was, "Elon, so you grew up in South Africa, and what is it about South Africa? Because you have like Nelson Mandela and Charlize Theron and billionaire Patrick Soon-Chong." And instead of answering my question like straightforward. He's like, well, actually, a lot of places allow you to be successful. And that's why I actually moved to the United States, because in the United States, you have the Silicon Valley. So he really is not a human being. He's a very, very smart man, very high IQ.
Mm.
And it's just fascinating because he really is one of the most iconic, visionary people, not just in the last generation, but for the next 1,000 years. So for me, given that I did my research and looked at many of his interviews, you have much less fear because you've done your research. But also, I never see anyone better value than I am. That's why when I meet billionaires, celebrities, it doesn't matter to me. Like, they might have a bigger bank account, more fame, but if you go in knowing that you're the same as I am, Shane, you and I have the same human value.
Yes.
You might be living in Atlanta. I might not be living in Atlanta. But if we, as human beings, realize we have value, then it doesn't matter who you approach. It's only when we think that we're less than them, then we're like, oh my gosh, I might be afraid. I wasn't afraid. I was actually excited. If you watch the interview, I was excited. Like
Wow.
a kid. Yeah.
Golly. Well, of course, I mean, you're very successful and you've done lots of different business ventures too. What other business ventures have you done and been part of?
It's funny because right now, my two main businesses is a speaking business where I get hired by Amazon, eBay, large companies, corporations,
That's
and
amazing.
countries. But then about 10 years ago, I started getting asked after writing this book, which is going to be a gift of yours.
And I want to
It's a number
sign
one
copy.
bestseller about
Yeah.
how do you network with billionaires. I kept getting approached over and over. How do you actually become a speaker? How do you actually impact people? How do you actually frame your story like a Steve Jobs, where Apple is not a $1 trillion company because it's a great product? Now, I'm sure it is. I don't have an Apple product, but he understood storytelling.
Yeah.
So the two main businesses I have now is a coaching business for executives, royalties, and entrepreneurs, a speaking business. But I've been literally shoveling snow when I was 7. So I've been invested in real estate. My first property I bought when I was 24, but I was also a singer-songwriter. So I've done various different businesses, but right now my core focus really is speaking and coaching business, because coaching, for all of the people that are watching, if you have an actual experience, a story, imagine turning that into an ATM machine of income. And also a platform for change. So anyone that has any level of experience, they think that they don't have the knowledge, but they do. They just need a coach to help them frame the story in a way that looks valuable so that someone would buy it.
I agree with that. Like Michael Jordan, like he's one of the best basketball players, but even he needed a little bitty guy. I don't know who the coach was, but like
Tim Grover.
Tim Grover.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm sure he wasn't as talented as Michael, but he pushed Michael to do what Michael wanted to do, but he didn't do it without him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So everyone needs a coach. And you're definitely that person for sure. So getting coaching from you, what is, so if I'm going to give a speech, we did the Pivot Summit, and that's my second time talking on stage. Okay, you saw me, I'm as green as they get. You even came and you said, you did good, but we're going to talk later. So I was like, he's about to help me.
Yeah.
What are some things that you would say, Shane, here's the 4 or 5 things that you need to do to be an effective speaker and storyteller?
Well, first of all, let me just compliment you on you getting on stage, you creating this event, because again, it's very easy for anyone to be self-critical about themselves. Even myself, I'm literally giving over 1,000 presentations globally around the world. But the most important thing that you have that you do really well, you're just very genuine. You're very sincere and you're very knowledgeable. Because at the end of the day, the people in the audience want to know that they can relate to this person. Because if you're too high up there and your nose is a little bit too high, they can see your nose hairs, they might look at you and admire you, but can they look at you and actually learn from you? And what's the point of all these conferences? Because, as I said during the stage, actually, I said, you have the conferences that they get these celebrities. I get why they get them, but these are all experts in their field. And if you want to learn how to crush your field, you don't need a celebrity to tell you, work hard, don't sleep. You need an expert in the field to give you actual methodology.
Yes.
So I'm very blessed that when people tell me, oh, I'm very motivating, but I'm like, yeah, I'm motivating if you believe that, but I want to give you methodology. I want to give you strategies. So for you, you have both. You have the strategy and you have the authenticness of you. And in terms of what you can improve, which frankly, everyone can, it's really having a clear intention of what your end goal is. Because you are investing a lot of money in this. So what our conversation will be more about is about how do you monetize your message.
Yeah.
So speaking is fine, but as I was talking to one of your colleagues, it's like a script. When a Tony Robbins can make $30 million from one event, he's not just talking and motivating. He understands the psychology of human desire. He understands the physiology of how we work. And so with yourself, it's just first accepting where you're at, because again, if you don't even accept that, it's going to convey in your confidence or lack of confidence, right? So that's why I anchor first what you're doing well and what you want to do in the future. It's really just being clear. What is the end goal? You know, the inspiring thing you're already doing. But if you really want to build a community or find clients, then that's a much longer answer, because I don't really know you that well. But once I dissect exactly, okay, this is your end goal, and like engineer, I'm going to literally reverse engineer it. And everyone that's watching is the same thing. It's not just speaking to share an actual story or just looking at yourself, oh, this is a great shot. It's really understanding every single time I'm on stage, I have a clear purpose, literally. Though I've been doing this for such a long time, I always cater it to pivot. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a perfect theme for this version of my speech. That's why this one, though it might have been called Networking with Billionaires, I framed it so it fits your audience, your theme, which is, what are the pivotal ways to have a purposeful, successful story? You know? And that looks awesome.
Yeah, I like this. You guys make sure to get this, The Big Game Hunting, Christopher Kai, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just, well, you said it right, because honestly, these events, they incur cost for sure. So this is my second conference we held. Like I said, second time speaking. I lost 100,000 in December, and I'm down exactly 224,000 on this one. And of course, we want to give a ton of value, meet a lot of people, but of course, I like to at least break even.
No, you're going to do more than break even. I'm going to help you make money from this platform, this movement. And again, it really is coming down to, when they come there, what do they want?
Yes.
You know, and when people ask me, what is the most important quality of a speaker? And people are shocked when I say this, it's listening. If you don't listen to your audience, I'm literally scanning the audience and I say certain things and I'm seeing if there's a vibe. And that's literally what comedians do. That's what really great performers do. That's what speakers do. So for you, you're on the right track, but it really is sitting down, and I'm happy to do this off camera, and saying, okay, you know, what do you want to do? What is your vision? What's the movement that you want? So let's say I spoke at an event called Aspire. It's the biggest business conference that's been around for many, many years.
Going on tour.
Yeah, but they have a very clear objective. They're inspiring people, but there's also a business model where they have upsells and offers, which is what Tony Robbins does, and all the people that we've seen, whether you love him or hate him, it's been going on for 100 plus years. It's called upsell. You know, like Warren Buffett will talk about how the compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. If Warren Buffett knew upsells, that would be the 8th, 9th, 10th, because an upsell essentially is, we all know the concept, right? You get an Uber ride as UberX, then they upsell you to Uber Black. You go buy an economy ticket. I'm sure you don't fly economy anymore, Shane, because you're very successful.
No.
You buy an economy ticket, they upsell you to business or first class, right?
Yes.
But in the coaching world, the reason why it's so lucrative is like, you offer a platform, a conference like you do, and you add value, and then you upsell them. Oh, wow, we have these amazing packages that are 5-6 figures, and they've bought into the vision. You give them the value, but ultimately speaking on a stage that just inspires one thing, speaking on a stage to sell something is very different. That's why when I talk about this type of conference where you do have programs on the back end, it really is letting them know that you're a sincere, genuine person that cares for them. But look, you spent millions of dollars, if not tens of millions of dollars. So why would you not want to say, look, I can offer this ticket for only $5,000, but if you want to learn more, it's not going to just be $5,000.
Absolutely.
So it's just being clear with your intention, clear with your audience, and having this expectation where a lot of people who actually are not successful, they're like, oh, why can't I just take you out for coffee, Shane? I'm like, because I'm working on a $10 million deal or $2 million deal. You know, it's like in their mind, they think, oh, it's just coffee. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it costs money every time that's an expensive coffee.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like things that's win-win, you know, and I've always never been the person. I'm a buyer. I'm a real estate guy. So I usually buy, hold. I'm not really much of a salesperson, but at the same time, I'm in a win-win situation with this. I'm saying, you know what? It's not bad to do well do well for others while making a good living as well. Like do well and do well for others. So, and I believe I give good value. I've been able to help good people. Like we have one boy named Tanner. He came in 1 year, we helped him get 52 doors. And I'm very proud of that, you know?
Yeah.
So I do want to share that and get people addicted to what we do.
Because that's the thing. Not only did I see you on stage, I saw you on the workshop thing as well. And I was like, man, you're giving too much value for the price points.
Yeah.
I mean, I said to you when I wrote this book in Beverly Hills where I used to live, and a gentleman from Talent Estonia walks up to me named Asko. He's like, I loved your book. I loved your speech. Where's your program? And I looked
Wow.
at him like, what do you mean?
Mm.
Right? So I started researching all these programs, coaching programs. And the first program I sold was for $500 about networking.
Mm.
But that same program, I would charge $50,000 or even $500,000. Because
Wow.
at the time, like
Mhm.
you right now, starting your career as this coach, if you choose to go this path,
Mhm.
you don't know how to price things. How would you? But you're like driving a Ferrari, literally, or a Lambo. And you're like, hey, you want to buy this Fiat? I'm like, Shane, what are you doing? It's a Lambo, not a Fiat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, no disrespect for people that drive Fiat. I'm just saying there's a sense of perceived value.
Yes.
Does a Birkin bag have that much value that you should, there's some woman's paying $27,000 or Richard Mille? I'm just saying, like, if you
Mhm.
truly understand the framing, you start understanding that whatever you are charging is a perception of value. And when you
That's true.
understand the psychology of framing and branding, which is actual science,
Mhm.
you can sell whatever you want if you understand how you frame your story.
That's right. You know, that makes sense too, because I did have the friends say, hey, Shane, can I go have coffee with you? Can I pick your brain? And I go sit and have coffee with them, tell them everything I've done, take 2-3 hours. It ended up being an extended coffee break. Then the next year they'd call me again, hey, Shane, can I pick your brain? Let's go sit. I sit down, ask the same question. They never took any action.
Yeah.
But then the moment that I realized that even for myself, and I tell everyone the same, you can buy a bottle of water for $1
Mhm.
and not drink all of it, you're not going to think nothing of it. But you go to Disney, buy the same type of bottle of water for $18, you'll
Yeah.
drop every bit of it, you know? So
And
it's
again-
kind of good for them for a push too, right?
No,
Yeah.
the thing is this, people don't really value unless there's a price tag on it. Literally.
Mhm.
I charge $50,000 for an hour speech. That's just right now. It just
Wow.
keeps going up, right? But I've made even more than that from one speech from the coaching world, right? But what I'm saying is, if you know you make $50,000 for a 1 hour speech, why would you go to coffee? And they always say, time is money. No,
Mm.
time is more important than money.
It is.
Money is just it's a currency that allows you to do more, but
Mhm.
time is precious. Time is really all we have. And even the time concept is just what we think, because I was talking to a buddy of mine named Stephen Mead, super smart guy. He's like, he read a book by Deepak Chopra, and that book said, ageless body, timeless mind. And so he said to me, Shane, if you don't know how old you are,
Mhm.
how old would you want to be? If you really
Oh,
think about
wow.
it, if you didn't know how old you are, how old would you want to be? If we grew up, our parents didn't tell us how old we were, the sun would go up, the sun would go down. No one knows if you're 24, 25, 85. It doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
So many of us are so fixated on how old you are, the time, the age, it was too late for us. But if they spent more time doing what you're doing,
Mm.
meaning you just jump in, make investments, be present, present, give value, we would live in a much better world, because ultimately, Gandhi once said this many years ago, it's like, if everyone did what they were supposed to do, we would solve all the world's problems,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I paraphrase Gandhi, but that's essentially what he said.
So what is 3 mistakes that most speakers mistake, that's the most common mistakes that you see?
They have a lot of ego. So they go in thinking everyone wants to hear what they want to say.
Mm.
And that's the biggest one, because again, those that want to speak, including myself, we think that we have something to say.
Mhm.
But if you're actually speaking to offer and sell a program, it's very humbling when you're like, I'm a confident man, I'm going to go in there, and you sell nothing. Then you're like, okay, I might be good. But clearly I wasn't listening to what the audience wants, what
Mm.
they want to actually not just want, but will pay for. It's
Mm.
one thing when I hear people that are speaking and they love speaking and they hear that, wow, I can help them make money as a speaker. And I say to them, look, it's great that people compliment you, but the best compliment, as Dan Kennedy, who's like the goat of public speaking on stages and selling on stages, Dan Kennedy,
Mhm.
who wrote a book called literally Speak to Sell. He's like, the only thing that I want to know is if I'm going to make money. That's the
Mm.
best applause. That's the best actual true result if when you say great speaker. You know, anyone can compliment you, Shane, but when someone pays you money to speak on a stage, that's true mastery.
That's
so
a
the
big-
3
yeah.
specific things are: 1, they have too much ego, so they have to remove that. 2, listen to the audience specifically. And
Mhm.
3, it's just being really clear that if you go beyond 3 points, you've already lost them. There's a reason why there's Act 1,
Mm.
Act 2, Act 3. There's a reason why there's an appetizer, main course, dessert. There's a reason why in songwriting, which I write songs, there's a verse, pre-chorus, and chorus. But people don't want 15,000 things to think about. So the more inexperienced
Simple.
speaker, the more arrogant speaker, the more egotistical speaker often says, I got all this stuff to share. I only have 30 minutes. He's pretty much saying, I'm very egotistical. I want to share what I want to speak with you about. But what the audience wants is, especially in business, what's actionable? What can I do today? You ask me a question. First thing is, what is your end outcome? Ideally, monetarily, because you said you've made these investments, not cost, but investments. So my first question to you is, how much do you want to make? Literally, how much have you spent? How much have you made? And how much do you want to make? And I can reverse engineer, and this is how much you're going to make within a range.
Wow.
So it's always about the intention of the outcome. I know I inspire people. I know I motivate people. That might sound arrogant. No, I've been doing this for so long where if I know like a comedian does, if I say, hey, they call me the Asian Brad Pitt with cooler hair, right? You just laugh.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome.
right? I'm just saying, like,
I love it.
true. But now I just changed it around. I'm like, you know what? No, Brad Pitt is the Caucasian version of Christopher Kai.
I like that. Yeah.
You know, so I just flipped it around, right? You look like the guy from Crazy Rich Asians with this amazing, like handsome guy and intelligent, smart, and this amazing wife, right? But it's how you frame your story. So the 3 tips are really be less arrogant, which stands for ego. Ego stands for erasing great opportunities. Listen to your audience in terms of what they want, not what you think they want. And lastly, make sure you share stories that have just 3 points or less. Because if you do anything more than that, you've already lost the audience.
No, 100%. No, I can see that the ego thing is the big thing. And they give no value at the same time.
I openly admit, like, I have my own issues with my ego, you know?
Yeah, but whenever some people like really hone in on it and they never give any value. They're just, I'm great, I'm this. Well, here's another thing. So I'm going to kind of talk a little personal now. So one cool thing is we're both Asian. So I call you my Asian cousin.
My Asian brother.
I know. And we have a picture actually that we did yesterday. We had 4 or 5 Asians together. And you said this is the most Asians you've seen on stage too, right?
No, because again, when you think of it culturally, it's a joke, but the reality is there's 25 million Asian Americans, and there's actually probably like 4 billion in the world. But like culturally, whatever Asian ethnicity you have, we're not taught to stand out and be assertive. We're taught to be humble because humility is actually a great thing. Respect is a great thing, but in the American culture, in the Western culture, we're not perceived as strong if you're like, oh, thank you. But no, I'm going to thank you, but I'm also say, this is who I am, you know? It's about the curse, but I'm going to keep it all PG. But it's just great because ultimately, the reason why so many people might not understand marginalism, meaning in the United States, for instance, there's so many things. I'm not going to get too into it, but like you have politics and Republicans and Democrats, right? But for those who have never felt like an outsider, meaning let's say I was a short kid the whole time growing up. So I felt marginalized, meaning I'm in the margins. So if someone that's tall or even just average might not understand how it feels like to be short. But as long as you know that you've been an outsider, which we as Asian people have been an outsider on the stage. So when you see someone that looks like us, we're like, wow, this is so cool, because it's called an in-group bias in psychology. If you're in the same group, you literally feel more filial. You literally feel a bond. It's not even anything that people want to label as racism or this. No, it's just about you're Asian, I'm Asian, so therefore we have this filial bond. Yeah. And when you actually study psychology and physiology, they literally put 4 babies. They had a black baby, white baby, Latino baby, and Asian baby, and they put a mother in front of the babies. Whatever ethnicity, if it was a black baby, it went to the black mother. Latino baby, right? So it wasn't racism. It's just that we are so primal in our understanding of human nature that it's easy for us to paint a picture of racism and stuff like that. But it really is, we all like to be around our own kind. Even us, we're speaking English, right? If you're in a foreign country and you see someone or hear someone that speaks English, oh my gosh, you speak English, I speak English, right? So it's not even racism. It's just about this deep primal side that if you understand literally evolutionary biology, it's so primal that literally we just met. But I'm already like, man, this guy's cool. You know, he did Taekwondo, which I took as well, right? But it's like, it's something that it's beyond just there's a vibe. Yeah, it is a vibe, but there's this primal side that you are from the same roots that I came from, you know? Yeah. And that matters.
Yeah. So I want to be able to do other stages too. Yeah. Like I said, I've paid basically for my own stage to be able to be on stage. How do I get onto other people's stages? Like what kind of mentoring would you give me?
That's a great question, which I actually did yesterday for some of your guests. It's what I call a boss bio. A boss bio is when someone Googles you, they're going to see, oh, okay, what does Shane's CEO do? And the reality is a boss bio means do you appear like a boss? Again, remember perceived value.
Yes.
So someone Googles me, they're like, oh, wow, he actually did interview Elon Musk. He actually is speaking at TEDx Talks, right? So it's about that actual, wow, you can see pictures, photos, videos, testimonials. For you, I looked at your website. That's why we're talking right now, right? Because everyone can say things, but at least from your website, it says you've been doing this for 8 years. You have $80 million, right? So you have actual numbers where you've cleared 8 figures. You live in this big house, right? So you already have the actual credibility and experience. And now it's about having someone like myself that frames it in a way that the person that doesn't know you says, oh, wow, yeah, Shane isn't just another guy in real estate. He's literally top 1% in the country and the world.
Kind of what makes me different, stand out kind of thing.
Literally boss bio. So many people, if they remove your name, Shane CEO, and put someone else's name, and if they can have the same bio, that's not a boss bio. That's what I call a boring bio.
So I met you at David Rivera's house.
Yeah.
And I remember you were showing some examples. And I said, that is a big difference.
Yeah.
I have a friend that he literally says actor, and I love Cheerios. You know what I mean? But that's not necessarily the boss bio. It's funny though, but that's on his Instagram. It's a little different, I guess.
It
but
doesn't
when they
matter.
Google it, wouldn't say
It doesn't matter because if you look at any of my public-facing social media, which is all of it essentially, because people ask me, because I teach people how to be a coach or speaker. And the one event that you saw me at, the speech was called the $1 million Speaker Blueprint, How to Monetize Your Message. So remember how for your event, I catered it to say pivotal, purposeful success. For David Rivera's event, giving a shout out to David, amazing entrepreneur as well, his talk is called Monetize Talks. So since the songwriter side of me, it's called alliteration. So I said, okay, how do you catch a person's attention? The $1 million Speaker Blueprint. And then the subtitle is How to Monetize Your Message. So you really ask great questions, but I want the viewers to know that everything is possible if you actually understand, first of all, where you're at now. Meaning if you've never even made $1,000 from your speech, you might want to start there. Because I say 1 million only because it catches your attention, but that can be 1 million, 100,000, 10,000, 1,000, 10 million, 100 million, right? Because it's still the same framework that when people understand psychology of sales and the psychology of persuasion, which is literally a science, it just is so much easier because it's not just about sharing a story. I talk about story a lot, but I can literally, if you gave me any speech in the world, I can dissect that down to the word and second. That's true mastery and true precision.
They say that if you can't explain something simply, you don't know it well enough. And you have been able to put it in a way, take something very complicated and make it real simple, which shows you're an expert. And seeing your speech yesterday, and I was saying, I'm going to listen to something. I saw how I said, man, I see the strategy. Like you said, the psychological part to it. You also anchored things. And then your pitch, you did a pitch for almost like 15, 20 minutes, but also it gave value at the same time you were giving the pitch, which is just like crazy.
And I was also very direct. And here's the thing, like
very
again,
direct.
You don't understand the framework. So after you give his pitch, people walk up to me and what does Shane do? He has another speaker that like kind of diminishes the momentum. But again, it's like when you ask a question and anyone that wants to be a speaker, first know that you can speak. You do have a story, but if you want to monetize your message, it really is understanding the framing and the science of persuasion. And there really is a science. That's why, as you can tell, as we're talking, I really get excited. And you have an amazing heart, Shane, and you have amazing storytelling. And so just know that you're on the right path. And it really is knowing that if you have a story that can inspire, if you can make more money in speaking and coaching, would you do that than real estate, right? You don't have to choose. There's a reason why I just interviewed the Reebok co-founder, Joe Foster. Do you know how old Reebok co-founder is?
No, I don't know how old he is.
He's 90 years old.
Wow.
I also interviewed the TED founder. You know how old he is?
How old?
9 years old.
Wow.
Right? But what I'm saying for everyone listening, there's so many careers and professions out there. It's definitely, there's an expiration date, especially in sports, right?
Yes.
But if you know that your story has relevance, and then we're in Atlanta, Georgia, so I'll give shout outs to Andrew Young as well, who's Dr. Martin Luther King's former ambassador. Well, he's Dr. Martin Luther King's former confidant, but he's he's called the ambassador, the former mayor of Atlanta. He's over 92. So when you have a story, when you're a speaker, when you truly want to give back, and I'm pretty sure he charges a lot of money for a speech, as you should, because again, if you have value, own your value, why would you not want to charge? You're literally
100%.
cheating yourself and the person that's learning from you, because if you don't, again, you walk into a restaurant, a nice fancy restaurant, You're not going to pay them?
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. You got to pay.
You know?
Yeah. And
So
you
you're feeding them, you're nurturing them with your message, which you are. Like I literally was sitting back there. I'm like laughing because I'm like, you're giving them way too much value because they haven't paid for it. They haven't earned it, frankly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, and then one thing I thought was neat is throughout the entire event on Friday and then the workshop that we did, you'd come back almost in between. Every time I come to you, say, Shane, you doing? I saw you like doing good, but let me give you a little bit
No,
about
because I
you.
wanna
You were
encourage
mentoring me
you.
in
I wanna
lifetime, which is
encourage you.
good. Which is good. Yes.
Because again, it's so easy for me to literally like I can literally be a Harvard trained surgeon
Mm.
and literally cut apart your entire body of work. But
Mhm.
that's not encouraging for you.
Mhm.
You know, I'd rather say, hey, this is a great direction you're heading.
Mhm.
This is a great message you're sharing.
Mhm.
But if you want to learn more, you have to invest and I'll teach you more, you know?
Yeah. No, this is good.
Yeah.
Well, see, in Taekwondo, what I thought was interesting is there's like I taught police officers, and they would punch like this.
Wow.
Like you'd be amazed, they'd punch upside down, and you can't come and say, "Oh man, that's horrible, dumb," you know.
Yeah.
But I would say, "Hey, good job. Now
Yeah.
try it like this."
Yeah.
You know, and just
Yeah.
slowly help them, encourage them, but yet still fix and let them know, "Hey, come to do classes."
But you're
with
smart
us."
too, because that
Right.
man or woman has a gun too, right?
Yeah, well, that too.
It's like, hey, I don't want to upset you because you have an actual gun, you know, but you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are your next goals in the next 2, 3 years, 5 years? Like, what
Again,
kind of impact are you trying to reach and do?
The thing is, I'm already living my dreams, right? So now it's really about helping my clients live their dreams. Because again,
That's awesome.
Shane, who really gets to live their dreams, frankly? Really?
Very little.
Like I'm not going to ask you on camera, but like ultimately, it's what I call the triangle of success. Who actually genuinely loves what they do,
Mhm.
makes really good money, and gets to help people. So I already have fulfilled this triangle dream for many, many years now. So now it's like, it's not fun when you're the only guy that has money.
Mm-mm.
You know, not all my friends have money. Not all my clients are at a certain level, right, of
Mhm.
money. And so my dream is literally doing what I'm doing, but at a much larger scale. Not just stages. It's like I'm not at a point where I'm literally packed every single day. But in time, I will get to a point where literally, I mean, last year I actually was on a 7-month global tour, but I'm just saying it's like in 3 years, 5 years, 20 years, 50 years, God willing, I'm still going to be doing the same thing. It's just really being more clear on who my audience is. There's a reason why I'm working with someone in Saudi Arabia or Malta, because we as Americans already have this built-in entrepreneurship. But
Yes.
in Saudi Arabia, Malta, or Thailand, I have a client there who's a royal person of the family. But I'm just saying, it would be inspiring to know. Wouldn't it inspire you, Shane, to know that in Saudi Arabia right now, 60% of the population is under 30. So wouldn't it be inspiring for you to be a coach, to teach them about real estate, to teach them to literally build out not just one person, but the whole country?
No, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm working on now. I'm more at scale, literally at a nation level. So it's not even just personal branding or executive branding, it's nation branding.
Wow. That's the big. So you're going for scale and value and impact. Wow.
Globally, because I've already
Yes.
done one-to-one, but it excites me when I work with executives. And I said this yesterday when I met Robert Smith, who's a billionaire. He's worth $10.8 billion, at least at this point of this recording. One of the few African-American billionaires. He's a private equity, but he used to be a chemical engineer in school and realized that if he's going to build a business and raise capital, he needs to be a better storyteller.
Yes.
So I'm focusing more on those. Literally, my book, Big Game Hunters, big gamers are people of influence that you might think are out of reach. And when I said to him, hey, Robert, I'm a executive speech coach. And he's like, I'd love to learn more about public speaking. And here's a man who's a billionaire, established celebrity, a big gamer, but it doesn't matter. Those who are masters always want to learn how to master more elements of their craft.
Wow. Well, tell everyone where they can find you online. How can people connect with you?
Yeah, Christopher Kaidam, not Kingdom, but Kaidam. My last name is Kai on Instagram. LinkedIn is Christopher Kai. My website, christopherkai.com. But Shane, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. You are definitely on the right path, and you have this message of hope, of inspiration, but more importantly, you also have this deep understanding of real estate and on a larger level, entrepreneurship. So make sure you check out this guy and make sure you add and follow and invest in his programs and coaching and go to his events.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to definitely be a mentee. He's definitely going to be mentoring. We've been talking a little bit the last couple of days, and he knows I don't know what in the heck I'm doing when it comes to this storyteller. I'm just a nerdy real estate guy, but I'm ready to master this. And I got my Asian cousin to help me. So you guys make sure to check him out, and we'll see you guys next time.
Great. Thanks so much, Shane.
Thank you, sir.